Hello, my name is Sade, and welcome to Flipped Upside Down. This is not a podcast. It's more like a space or a community for people trying to navigate this thing called life. I'm trying to figure it out, and so are you. So why not figure it out together? Today, we're going to be talking about letting go of the past. I do want to put this disclaimer early, though, that when I speak of the past, I'm not including severe trauma like abuse and neglect. I believe that is a topic that should be spoken on by someone who is actually trained to speak on such things. But this video could potentially help. The conversations I will be having, though, are not as deep, and it's meant to address feelings like I'm not good enough or I can't let this go. This will be the final part of the three-part series I've been doing about time. So if you haven't already seen the first two videos, I will link everything here in a playlist somewhere. And the playlist will be called Time or something like that. There is a lot to cover today, but before we get started, let's take a moment to just be. If you can, get comfortable and close your eyes. Let your body sink into wherever you're resting. Your chair, your bed, the couch, wherever you are. Take a deep breath in and let it out. Allow your mind to soften as you breathe into the silence. And when you're ready, start wiggling your toes, your fingers, slowly bringing your body back to the present. And when it feels right, open your eyes gently and smile. So, how are you today? Have you eaten anything today? What's on your mind right now? How's the weather where you are? Today in my city, it's raining. So after recording this, I will probably make myself a cup of tea and curl up somewhere for an hour or two and finally start reading my book. I love it when it rains. I grew up on the East Coast and I always looked forward to the spring showers. They're not fun to be in when you're outside, but the thunder, lightning, and heavy rain are the perfect soundtrack for warm, cozy indoor activity. It doesn't rain that heavily often in the West Coast, so I really do miss that aspect of home. But that also means that there are more opportunities to be outside. And last week, your girl was outside. Odumodu Black was performing in my city. If you know him, you know. I'm not a number one fan or anything, but I know enough songs and the tickets were cheap, and I desperately needed to get out of the house for my own sanity, my own mental health. So I went out. I had on, I had on like an itty bitty skirt and then an itty bitty top, and then some super cute heels. Anyway, I was outside. But the concert was fun. Odomodu, he has a really good stage presence. And I ran into a couple of people that I knew. So after the concert, we all went to an after party. I did a lot of dancing, consumed some alcohol. it was fun, Sha. But the next day, I woke up completely embarrassed. I didn't do anything bad per se. Like I didn't black out or anything. I just danced. But that alone is enough for me to be embarrassed because sober me does not dance in public. I'm not a bad dancer. I know how to catch a beat. I've seen myself in the mirror. And I do have some moves. I'm a decent dancer. But I am a very reserved person, and I have a tendency to get in my head and limit the things I do in public out of fear of perception and judgment. So I'm jealous. I'm jealous of the people who can go out, be high energy, and dance the night away without a single drop of alcohol because I am not one of those people. But I'm working my way towards becoming that person. When I first started going out, no drink in me, I would just maybe do a side to side step for a bit before eventually finding myself in the back of the room, just waiting for everyone to be ready to go home. But now I can comfortably bop my body side to side. I can have a little fun without any drinks because I've done it enough times to accept that nobody really cares. But for me to really go out, I need some drinks in me. I've been told that drunk Sade is a vibe. And while I do aspire to have the confidence that drunk Sade has, I can't help but feel embarrassed every time I look back on drunk Sade's actions. Like, why did she say that? Why was she in the middle of the room dancing? And actually, even more, huh, does she look weird dancing? Does she embarrass me? Does she embarrass us? Like, were people talking about her? And then I also wonder, like, was I annoying? Anyway, Sha, hey, anyway, those are the kinds of questions that run through my head when I look back at the night. And the frustrating part of all of this is that I'm the one that has to deal with all these feelings of cringe because drunk Sade doesn't give a fuck. Drunk Sade, she lives in the now. She goes out, she has fun, she comes home, she goes to bed. I don't know where she goes when the night is over, but I know for certain when she comes back out, she's not thinking about how embarrassing her actions were 2 weekends ago. She's here to have fun, and that's exactly what she's doing right here and right now. I, on the other hand, do not know how to live in the present. My mind is constantly in the past mistakes, past actions, things I should have done, should not have done, clothes I no longer fit in, but one day may fit in, items that are broken, but one day I'll take it to get fixed, things that I should have let go of because they no longer serve me, but for some reason I can't because I don't know how to let go of the past. For the sake of this conversation, I'm putting the past into two categories. There's the physical past and the emotional past. I do want to note that these are not technical or scientific terms in any way, shape, or form. And if they just so happen to be, I didn't do any research, so my categorization may not even be aligned. I'm just talking off of my own personal experience and what has helped me to rationalize these things. So back to the definitions. I would define the physical past as something tangible. And because it's tangible, it's a lot easier to visualize. And you can physically see how much of your space it takes up and how much of your freedom is limited because of the space it occupies. It's the things I listed before, the clothes you never wear that just sits in your cramped, overstuffed closet. The gadgets and tools you used maybe once that take up space in your shelves and your cabinets. Or the remnants of hobbies in your garage or storage unit that you haven't touched in years. Those are the physical past. The tangible items that we just can't let go of, either because they remind us of the people we once were or memories that can no longer be had. Sometimes they hold sentimental value. A gift from someone who you were once close to, or they could be reminders of someone who is no longer with us. I have a lot of items like that in my life, but for me, many of these items are tied to moments in my life that brought me happiness. Depression is something that I have struggled with for as long as I can remember. I have distinct memories of being sad in kindergarten and not being able to answer why when my teachers would ask me what was wrong or what happened. Nothing happened. I was just sad. Like, how do you tell adults I'm just sad when you yourself don't even fully comprehend what it means to be sad? I wouldn't say I was pessimistic as a child, but there were very little things I looked forward to, if at all. So whenever I would experience something that genuinely brought me joy, I would hold on to a memento from that moment. Maybe it was a ticket from a field trip to the zoo, a drawing from a friend, or a letter from a teacher. I think I must have believed that if I held on to these items, then I could hold on to those moments. But if I ever damaged, lost, or threw away these items, then I would lose these feelings and memories forever. That feeling intensified as I got older, and as I gained more dimension, the feeling gained more depth. There's still that bit of not wanting to lose the memories, but there's this other layer of what if I need it someday? And to complicate it further, there was another layer that was just pure guilt. Guilt that I would offend or hurt the person who gave me this item, even though I haven't spoken to them in years. And there was also guilt that I would be betraying or hurting some part of my past self if I got rid of this item that she treasured. I'm going to dive more into this guilt when we start talking about the emotional past, but the point I'm making is that I feel emotionally drawn to these items, and as a result, I cannot let them go. In the last episode where I spoke of waist, I mentioned these blue bell bottom flare jeans that no longer fit me. It's been years since I last wore them, and I don't see myself fitting into them again anytime soon. But I keep them in my closet for a just in case time, for a time in the future that may or may not even come to pass, a time where I will be able to fit in them again. And while these jeans waste in my closet, occupying space, I'm hesitating to buy new ones because I might lose some weight soon. And I don't want to waste space and money on pants that I may not ever wear again because I'm going to lose weight. I'm blocking myself from getting a new good pair of jeans because I'm holding on to a past that is no longer me and using that past to predict my future. And while all of this is going on, it's the me today that is suffering because she doesn't have anything cute to wear. It's the me of today that spends almost an hour trying on the same exact clothes every single time she has to go out and stressing because none of them will get past her knees. It feels like the sentiment for why I hold on to these items is the same as last week's conversation about saving for the right moment. But the repercussions feel different to me. In last week's video, I used a set of plates that I've been saving for a special occasion. After I used them, I washed them and I put them back on the cabinet. I will continue to use them and they will always return back to the cabinet each and every time I use them until they are no longer functional. What I am proposing as the logical solution to removing my tangible past is something irreversible. I haven't said it out loud yet. But if you're following my train of thought, it just makes sense that if something isn't serving you, get rid of it, right? Throw it out. Um, I can't bring myself to do that. The pants, maybe. I can get rid of them. And actually, I don't think I have any issues going into my closet now and removing all of the clothes I no longer wear. That I can do. I can get rid of the toaster oven that I forgot I owned as well. I don't even know where it is. It's somewhere in the kitchen, but I can get rid of that. What I can't bring myself to get rid of is the longboard my sister bought me, even though it hasn't left the wall it's been leaning on for almost 4 years. I can't get rid of the Pikachu cap my best friend in college got for me for my birthday, even though I have never, like not even exact, I have never worn this hat a day in my life. I don't think I can get rid of the stuffed doll that a past partner won for me at a fair, even though the relationship did not end on the best notes. Um, yeah, I don't think I can get rid of any of these. Maybe the best I can do, if I was to get rid of, maybe I could just take pictures of them. If I take photos of these items, then that would allow me to hold on to the memories, even if they aren't physically with me anymore. But even that, like I already have so many photos and videos already. I'm paying for additional storage in Google Photos because I couldn't bring myself to delete any of them. So I don't know. I don't know. If you haven't figured it out yet, my videos are not meant to bring you answers or tell you what to do. So sorry if you came here looking for some guidance. Like I said, I'm trying to figure out this life thing. So yeah, I did watch some videos though that talk about how to declutter your space. So if that is something that you are really interested in learning more about, then the information is out there. There are really good videos out there that you can watch. And they all sounded very reasonable, but I don't think I'm ready for that yet. And a big part of that is because of the other element of the past, the emotional past. So unlike the physical past, you can't touch the emotional past. It's all mental. And even though you can't carry it physically, I would argue that the emotional past is heavier. It carries more weight than the physical past. The reason why I can agree to throw away the clothes in my closet is because I can see how much space they take up in my closet. And every time I do laundry and I have to force clothes into my closet, I start to think more earnestly about just getting rid of them. I can physically see the discomfort they cause me. And also, at the end of the day, they're just items. My emotional past, however, is me. It's all my happiness, all my longings, and all my sorrows. To throw away my emotional past is to throw away myself, well, my past self. And there's a lot there. In my past self, there is shame, regret, embarrassment, hurt, discouragement. There's a lot of unrealized potential. There's guilt. There's I wish I would have, and so much more. Of course, there are good feelings in there as well, but it's usually the negative ones that we dwell on the most. My psychiatrist, she calls this pattern of thinking about the same situation over and over again, ruminating. And the thoughts are ruminations. My therapist calls them negative self talk. So when I'm sitting down scrolling on my phone and the image of myself dancing at the after party pops into my head, and I'm like, why? Why am I so cringe? Even that it's so, I'm so cringe. Anyway, Sha, that's me ruminating. And I'm also participating in negative self talk when I slap labels or adjectives to myself that are depreciating. I trace these disparaging thoughts to two main sources: shame and guilt. So, shame, guilt, is there a difference? Well, yeah. So I said them separately. Yeah, there is a difference. So shame is dependent on and built upon guilt. Guilt is independent of itself. You can't feel shame if you don't feel guilt, but you can feel guilt without feeling shame. Shame is, I'm so embarrassing. It's also, why do I always do this? And shame can also be, I can't get anything right. I'm such a fuck up. Guilt, though, is, I had way too much to drink last night. Guilt can also be, oh crap, I made a mistake. Or I feel bad because I hurt someone that I care about. Are we picking up on a difference? Do we see the difference? Shame is you defining yourself by your guilt, putting a label on yourself because of something that you did and internalizing it. Guilt is simply putting feelings to an action. Shame directly attacks who you are as a person, while guilt serves to criticize a specific action or pattern. When you shame yourself, you're forcing yourself to live in the past. You're saying, this person, these actions from months or years ago is inherently who I am. And it's hard to move past something if you are telling yourself that that is who you are. So now I have to ask, is that who you want to be? Do you want to be someone who can never get anything right? Do you want to be an asshole? Do you want to be someone who is undeserving of love and affection? Do you want to be someone that is difficult? Is that really who you want to be? You might believe that this is who you are, but are you happy being this person? If not, then stop shaming yourself. Let's change our language and the way that we talk about ourselves from that of shame to that of guilt. I am not embarrassing. I went out and I had fun. I feel embarrassed because I did something that was outside of my comfort zone as a shy person. Actually, let's rephrase that sentence some more because I've gone out enough to know that I'm not actually a shy person. I'm just constantly worried about what other people will say and think about me. So let's change I am so embarrassing to I feel embarrassed because I am worried about what others will think about me. Do you see what that does? Now that I have shifted my words from a structure of shame to guilt, I am now presented with an opportunity to make amends or correct that guilt. The reason I am feeling this way is because of my own perception of how others are perceiving me. So to fix this, I need to work on not caring so much about what others think about me. Now, that's another conversation in and of itself. But the point is, I now have something actionable I can work on instead of just ruminating over and over again about how much of an embarrassment I am. Turn your shame into guilt. This can be difficult to do, though, especially when your emotional past is physically manifested, then that can serve as a constant reminder of the past. Example, when I went out for the concert, I did not wear the best shoes. I prioritized the fit over comfort, and I'll do it again. But the next morning when I woke up, I could not walk. I had giant bruises on the bottom of both my feet. So all week I've been walking on my heels. And it's really hard to not ruminate and think about that night when every time I stand up to walk, I feel pain. It also sucks because I haven't been able to go to the gym all week and I've just been stuck at home. So yeah, why wouldn't I keep thinking about my past? Why wouldn't I keep thinking about my night out if I'm currently dealing with the consequences of my night out? It's hard to let go of the past when there are things presently in our lives that call us back to those times. This physical manifestation can show up in many different ways. Maybe you have a scar on your body or constant aches and pains as a result of things you did prior to now. It could be your large credit card debt, or it could be the damage or destroyed relationships you have with your family or friends. It's physical things that may be permanent or would take a really long time to correct. And it's even shittier to have these physical manifestations if you were the victim in these scenarios. There's a song by Kendrick, Die Hard. No, I'm not too late. Anyway, I listen to that song every single day after it came out. And even now, it comes up at least once a week in my playlist. There's a line he says in the second verse that I think is very appropriate for this conversation about our emotional past. He says, I've got some regrets, but my past won't keep me from my best. Subtle mistakes felt like life or death. And this line hits even harder, coming in after the chorus where he says, I hope I'm not too late to set my demons straight. I like that line because it acknowledges that, yeah, I did fuck up. I've got regrets. He admits guilt. But you know what he doesn't do? Shame. In fact, he actively dismisses the idea of being shamed because of his guilt when he says, my past won't keep me from my best. You fucked up, but you are not your fuck up. Your past should not define who you are now. Your regrets should not define who you are. You define who you are. I've said it before and I will say it again. You cannot change the past. The past already happened. There is nothing you can do about it. And you might have the physical manifestations to prove that there is in fact nothing you can do about it. It doesn't make sense to beat ourselves up for something we cannot change. And while you're spending your time shaming yourself in the present, you're setting yourself up to shame this present in the future. So, how do we get past these things when it's hard to just run away? Well, we walk. If you can't run, walk. About a month or so ago, there was this scandal. I think it was two separate races. One was in the female division, the other was in the men division. But there were these marathon races where the leader of the race ended up losing because the guide actually directed them off the course just as they were nearing the finish line. And by the time that they realized their mistake, it was already too late. Somebody else had already crossed the finish line. In these scenarios, it's not the fault of the racers. They were simply following the guide who was supposed to know the right way. But the picture I want to draw from these cases is that if you've never been somewhere before, then it is hard to know exactly where and how to get there. But it's even harder if you're running and racing against a clock. When you walk, you give yourself the time and space to decide. And if you get it wrong, the number of steps you took and the energy you expended walking is less than if you had ran. Walking gives you the opportunity to stop and smile at the you're moving past. And as you go on your journey, do stop. Stop and appreciate that you once were. Appreciate that they are the reason you are here today. Maybe you did have to put on these identities in order for you to get through the shitty parts of life in the past. Applaud yourself for that. But now ask yourself, do I still need those identities? Do certain people in my life still align with who I want to be. Whenever I think about letting go of my past self, I get a little sad. Past Sade went through quite a bit, and I feel like I am betraying and abandoning her by moving on. But if I hold on to past Sade, what am I doing to future Sade? I don't think it's fair to 2036 Sade to tie her down with 2016 Sade's burden. I also believe it's unfair to past Sade to do so. Past Sade did the things she did because she wanted to see future Sade, and that can't happen unless current Sade can free herself from the shame and flourish into the person she wants to be. So, you know what current Sade is going to do? She's going to stop shaming herself. She's going to stop calling herself embarrassing. She's going to stop calling herself stupid. She's going to stop saying that people don't like her or want to be around her. She's going to turn that shame into guilt. And she's going to give herself directions to start walking towards. That's what I'm doing. That's the plan. So, what are you going to do? Oh, wow, that was heavy, Amma. Hey, thank you. Thank you for making it this far. Thank you so much for joining me. I would love to hear your thoughts on today's topic in the comments below. I do feel like there is a lot more to say about time and how we choose to engage with it, and I may come back later to add to the playlist. But for now, I think this is a good way to wrap up this discussion. Um, I don't know if I'll do it next week or the week after, but my 4 weeks intro to pole dancing and burlesque is coming to an end, and I owe you guys a video on that. So keep an eye out. If you haven't already, please make sure to like and subscribe. Follow me on Instagram and TikTok at Upside Down Flipped. And if there's anything you would like to hear me talk about, please, 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 please let me know down below. Like I said in the intro, we are a community and I want to know what's on our minds. Until next time, bye. Hey, well, see, that's a sign from the gods that I need to read my freaking books.